Awesome. Pleasure to welcome to the podcast Hopkins goalie Oran Gelinas. Oran, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
Yeah, let's go. You remember the first time you jumped into goal? I'd love to hear that story.
I don't remember the exact moment, but overall, just how I got onto net. There's a few reasons. The typical not a fan of running.
Hmm.
Uh, Also, my dad was the coach, so it was like no one else really wanted to play. I would just get thrown in there. And then the third, I don't know, I had this weird condition with my feet, where my foot grew faster than my tendons did. So running around would kill my feet. So I just had to stand there so my feet wouldn't hurt.
Oh, wow. Well, I didn't have that condition, obviously, but I hated running the same as you, probably. And that's one of the perks of being goalie, right? We do some running, but not as much as the other players. Did you like it at first? Like sometimes when kids get thrown in there, they make a bunch of six saves right out of the gate, and they're like, "This is for me." Like, how did that go for you?
I don't know. I don't know exactly. I don't know. I just remember I was decent enough. Um I was kind of yeah, sure, no one else wants to do it, I'll just keep doing it. I don't mind.
Yeah.
That sort of thing.
How long ago are we talking about? Sounds like you started a long time ago.
Might have been second or third grade, something
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
Uh, so a long, long time ago.
Okay. And then how did you go about I guess once you did decide that, all right, I'm gonna stick with this, like how did you go about learning how to make saves? Did you have some good coaching growing up?
Yeah, totally. When I was really, really young, um, my dad was a lacrosse coach, so he taught me some stuff that he knew, which I wouldn't teach myself now, but it's it was something, you know.
Yeah.
Um, so I got something there, and then I sixth grade, I hated lacrosse, or I just didn't want to do anything. So it was a good stretch where I wasn't really doing anything. But I played Lax for club. Met some great coaches through there. Got coaching and that sort of thing. Um, and then, as kind of high school and now college, doing a lot of goaliesmith stuff, that sort of thing.
Yeah. What you mentioned kind of hating lacrosse during that sixth grade period. With that, I guess it was just a phase, right? But what if there's a parent listening to this and their kid's in that phase of like, oh, he's not really into it. Do you just ride it out? Were there some tips that like kind of helped you get back into it?
Yeah, to say I hated lacrosse might be a stretch. I just didn't want to do anything.
Yeah.
I just want to sit around and play Xbox. And I love just eat. I loved eating hot Cheetos and drinking Mountain Dew and that sort of thing all day. Um, well, I feel like my parents were good about it. They weren't they would try to get me doing some stuff, um, but they weren't really forcing on me too hard. So I think as I got older, it was kind of I stepped into it more of me wanting to do it.
Yeah.
And they were never forcing anything on me like that. So, I think I my passion for the game grew because of that. If they forced it on me really young, I don't think I'd be where I am right now. But yeah, I'm not too sure. In the middle school, I kind of into it a little bit more with athletics and wanting to do more stuff. And so it's hard for me to say the exact reason.
Right.
Um, but I think them giving me space with kind of whatever I wanted to pursue. Um, they were supporting me with I was more academic focused, sixth grade maybe. I was into coding and stuff.
Oh, nice.
So, they'd be like, oh yeah, we'll sign you up for coding camp or something like that. So
Yeah.
grateful for them. They were just supporting whatever pretty much I wanted to do, but they weren't just gonna let me sit around and do nothing.
Yeah.
Um, a little bit, they're yeah, you still I wanted to quit lacrosse and everything, but they're you have to do something. Um, so by the time summer came around, I'd get lucky a few times, a club team would need a goalie, I'd get thrown in there, be like, oh wait, this is kind of fun,
Mm.
sort of thing.
Yeah. That's cool. That's cool. Yeah. It's tough to set fire to wet wood, right? So if they're not, if your kids are not like passionate about it, forcing it on them is not going to help, and even would probably have adverse effects, I think. What is it about lacrosse now in the goalie position that makes you so passionate, do you think?
I'm in a few things. One first thing that comes to mind is just community. a lot of like all my closest friends, a lot of them I met through lacrosse or just other goalie stuff like Goaliesmith as well and that sort of thing. So like met some really great people through that. Also like felt like myself like grow through lacrosse and getting better at lacrosse, growing more like confident, that sort of thing. But also just like the free flow of the game, and just tapping into like flow state, that sort of thing. Like I feel like that's just the best feeling.
Mm.
Um, Getting in that zone and when you're in it, it's just um, yeah, I mean, it's just, I feel like it's just magic. And you're making crazy saves and you're just totally immersed in the present moment. Um, and for me, I love that. And in particular, like crazy one-on-one saves where it's like people don't think you're gonna make it. And you're like, in my head, I'm like, I'm totally gonna make the save. It's gonna be
Hmm.
sick. And then
Hmm.
sick. And then that's just what I love personally.
That's awesome. How do how do you get into that flow state? It is amazing. And I've been there not as many times maybe as you have, but a number of times, and I can concur. It is awesome. And if there's a young kid listening that wants to enter that state with a little bit more consistency or more regularity, how, what can we say to them?
Yeah, I mean, it's super hard to control and just automatically tap into it.
Yeah.
I think the most important part is like you're in the present moment. And you're where your feet are. So I'm not thinking about the future or the past, right? But I'm totally immersed in the present moment, and I get there through many different things. One, it's like I'm trying to limit how much I'm scrolling through Instagram on my phone, um, right? Because I mean I'm doing that all day. Like I'm just practicing like very quick second attention span, like. Um, I'm pretty distracted. Or like if I'm eating while I'm watching TV, while I'm also scrolling on my phone, like I'm just practicing being distracted in all sorts of ways.
Mm.
So it's trying to be more intentional throughout my daily life of like, okay, like I'm practicing focus here.
Right.
Also, like I love meditation as well. That's great for me, like to help practice that, being in the present moment. As well as I like listening to music. I feel like music helps me, like I just enjoy the music and like hearing it playing in my headphones before games or hearing it during timeouts um, or at the end of a quarter. Like um, I don't most of the time I don't really know what's happening in the huddle unless I really need to know. I'm just
Yeah.
kind of I'm just kind of listening to music and just kind of like feeling that out.
Yeah, yeah. I was the same way. I didn't really get too immersed in the huddle during games. I was kind of like chilled sort of on the outside and kind of, stayed in my, my own little zone and then kind of one
Yeah,
ear, one ear like kind of peeled out, in case like
like,
our coach mentioned something about a defensive strategy that we need to do, right?
totally, exact same.
Yeah. I know a lot of goalies. I know a lot of goalies are like that because I watched a lot of lacrosse on TV, and then sometimes they'll show the huddle, and you'll see like Liam Entenmann off to the side, and you're like, all right, I know exactly what he's doing right there. Talk to me about the meditation piece. Is that like a app on your phone, or is that something different? Or how do you do
Usually,
it?
yeah, usually I'll just look up like, okay, let's say how much time I really have.
Okay.
Um, Usually every day I try to do 10 minutes. So I'll look up like on YouTube, like 10-minute concentration meditation, and it'll guide me through a little bit,
Yeah.
right? Um, again, like you focus on your breathing and like stuff like that. So really just present moment practice. Um, on game days, I might do a couple different sessions. Maybe I have a 10-minute session and then like a 5-minute session, like once I get to the stadium. So I'll do that and then get all my stuff on and go through my routines and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so yeah, I just look up ones on YouTube or let's say like I'm going out to like just get some shots and practice. Like I just take like 30 seconds to like focus on my breath. So like maybe a little more like breath work, that sort of thing.
Mm.
Um, where like I'll just do it on my own. I won't be guided through that. But yeah, those are kind of for me like staples as a part of my like I don't know, like tapping into flow state or just being present
Yeah.
and being enjoy like what's happening for me.
That's cool. That's cool. Do any of those meditations that you've done, do they tap into gratitude?
Yeah. Yeah. So
Mm.
again, like maybe I don't look up 10-minute concentration meditation.
Yeah.
I usually do that before like playing or practice, but like maybe I'm meditating later in the day after I do that sort of stuff. Or on like an off day, that sort of thing. Like I'll do different types as well. And um I love practicing gratitude as well. That's another big part of me, like getting into um, that zone. And I'm so glad you brought that up. Is just, it's hard to like be like mad at yourself or like thinking about a different time period when you're just like grateful. You're bringing gratitude to like where you are right now.
Right.
Like I'm in a game, it's like whether I'm getting scored on a bunch in a row or making a bunch of saves, the balls, let's say the ball's in the other end, like sometimes I'll just take a moment and be like, look around, like, wow, like I'm exactly like where I want to be, exactly where I wanted to be. Like when I was
Right.
in the eighth grade, like training, going like, oh yeah, I want to be on that field right now.
Right.
Older, and it's like it's grateful. And when you're getting scored on a bunch, it's like wow, like this is a great learning opportunity. Like I'm grateful for this, um, that sort of thing. And I love the lows too, like highs and the lows, because I know with like lows, like getting scored on a bunch, um, it's like wow, like this is like the human experience for me. Um, like how grateful am I to like be able to like feel this.
Right.
Um, as well as like the highs when they come, but like when the lows hit, it's like you just bringing the gratitude toward it because I'd rather feel those lows and those highs and just like not feel anything at all and just be kind of numb. So I like bringing gratitude for that sort of particular thing.
Yeah. 100%. I mean, even just, being grateful to be out there and playing this beautiful game, with your friends, like you said, taking that moment to look around and take it all in. It helps. It helps. We'll talk about the mental game later, but it helps that a ton. And I wasn't into that gratitude at first. And then I like over and over people on this podcast were like, yeah, gratitude, gratitude, gratitude. And I heard sports psychologists I interviewed like gratitude, gratitude. And I'm like, all right, let me give it a go. And it works. It really works. So yeah, and it could be as simple as just writing down a couple things or even thinking about a couple things that you're grateful for in this sport. And that helps tremendously. Awesome. Yeah, and the lows, right? The lows are going to come, and it's just part of that experience, right? And embracing it. That's really cool. I wanted to go back to something you said at the very beginning there. Your dad kind of taught you some things that maybe you wouldn't teach yourself or you teach the youngsters these days, kind of assuming that, the game's changed quite a bit. And like things that I was taught when I was growing the position, like stepping at the 45 are no longer like, what's taught in the game. Is that kind of what you meant, or were there some other things there?
I mean, yeah, they're like that sort of thing. The 45 and really just like I don't know, like you like exactly what you said there. Stepping towards the ball, like that sort of thing. But also he had me do this weird like chicken wing thing,
Oh yeah.
getting my elbow out.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't recommend that either. But yeah, I mean the 45 degrees kind of always, smothering the ball down, that sort of thing. Right, there's time and place for that. But not every low save is going to be that way. So that sort of thing for sure.
Yeah. Have you ever seen a picture of Kip Turner, Kip Turner's goalie stance?
I think I have, yeah.
Yeah, so like it's like first of all, the bottom hand is like totally out,
Yeah.
like over here, right? And like totally locked out. And so like I ended up when I was designing my Lax Goalie Rat logo, like this one right here, I sent the
Yeah.
dude the picture of that of Kip because that was like Kip was the man. He was a really good goalie, and that's how he played. And then all of a sudden, years later, I'm like, wait a minute, like that is a horrible stance. Like you can't have your bottom hand like totally locked out and like the stick like way off to the side. So then I sent it back to the graphic designer. I'm like, hey, could you like relax his hands a little bit? So the game has changed and my logo has changed. We got to adapt, right?
Totally.
When you were growing up, did you watch a lot of lacrosse on TV? And could you kind of, did you watch some certain goalies play?
Yeah, sort of like when I started getting into lacrosse a little bit. Um, I don't know, I was able to watch. I mean, you have edits of it from a while ago. It was like I think it was like the 2016 um like quarterfinals. I mean, Jack Kelly played.
Yeah.
I forget who the Navy goalie was. I think it was like Connors or something. I think it was that. The Navy goalie went crazy. He played lights out. Brown ended up winning, and so I was kind of became a fan of like both teams. But then I mean, Jack Kelly went on in the Final Four versus Maryland, like crazy performance from him. And so he kind of became my like goalie inspiration. And so I modeled some stuff after him for the next few years. So I mean, I might have been in like seventh, eighth grade around that point.
Nice.
That happened. And so yeah, I just I always wanted to be like Jack Kelly through that middle school, high school, um, looking up to him.
Yeah, that was a great 2016. That was a great tournament, and that save edit you mentioned in the quarterfinals, Navy versus Brown, is my favorite. It was my favorite one. Yeah, I think John O'Connor's, the Terminator. He had like 20 something saves, and Jack Kelly had like 18 or 19 saves, and so it was just insane. And they were going back and forth.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, it was awesome. And yeah, I mean, Jack Kelly's an awesome dude. I had him on the podcast after his injury, and just such a
Mhm.
wholesome dude. And I don't know if you ever had the chance to meet him.
I have not.
Yeah, yeah,
No.
just an awesome guy, and loves lacrosse, and it's good to see him, back in the PLL after, like, I mean, he almost like lost, the ability to play. Speaking of gratitude, he had hurt his knee with Team USA, and then had like 4 or 5 surgeries to get back. So it was crazy. So, all right. Any other ways that you think your game has changed or sort of evolved through the years? I mean, I imagine when you get to college, right, the game's going pretty quick. Talk to
Mhm.
me about that if anything comes to mind.
Yeah, I mean, um, how my game's changed. I think just trying to be more like dynamic, um, for like not trying to be like one rigid goalie. One, I
Hmm.
don't want to be like a robot and be like, okay, this save has to look like this every time. But also kind of like through high school, I ran through some problems where it was like, okay, I have to have the perfect stance, and I have to have this has to be perfect, everything has to be perfect, and I was just constantly tweaking stuff. Um, but I felt like just kind of like letting go in that sort of sense. And so now I feel like I'm more dynamic. Sometimes, most of the time, I play pretty flat, but maybe sometimes I come out to a higher arc, or I'm pretty wide a lot of times, but maybe
Hmm.
sometimes I'm wide and really low. Maybe sometimes I'm wide, a little bit higher. Low angles. Maybe I skinny up a little bit, and now I'm playing kind of tall and not as wide. Or just like other weird little things I can do, like maybe my back knees down a little bit lower. Sort of like all depending on scenario, type of shot that's happening, what's the defense doing, all these sorts of things. And also like not thinking about it, but just sort of like feeling it out and playing through it. Again, like being in that present moment, like not thinking about what I'm gonna do, but just like trusting my um, you know, work and my abilities and just trying to get creative out there. Um, being more of like an artist on the field rather than again like a robot.
Yeah. Save making artist.
Hmm.
Um, you mentioned there, like in high school, you were sort of tinkering constantly. What is the right balance, do you think, of tinkering? Because I certainly think goalies should try out different things, right? Like, I mean, you should try to be a little bit more wide in your base and see if like that, if you're more athletic and you feel more comfortable that way. But to your point, like you can't be constantly like you can't be constantly tinkering things. Otherwise, you're never gonna, get in a rhythm or get find a style. So what do you think's like the right balance there? Do I do it in the off season or what do you think?
Yeah, I definitely think off season's like the best time to like try that sort of thing out.
Hmm.
Um, Preseason maybe. If you're in season and like something's really causing you issues and you think you could solve it, it's like maybe like the first like day or two,
Mm.
and then just kind of like let go and just be like, okay, I'm just gonna go play how I play.
Yeah.
Uh, so I think if you're thinking about it and it's something new, it might cause more short term like not good effects. But like when I was tinkering it with it, it was like I'd have a bad shooting day, like everyone does. Right. And then it'd be like, oh, it's because of my stance. I have
Yeah.
to be skinnier. And then the next day I'd be skinnier. And then I'd be like, oh, yeah, this is really good. And then I'd have another bad shooting day and I'd switch it again. And rather than like consistently, like, okay, here's my stance. I'm having issue with maybe like this one type of movement or shot. I'll try something a little bit different and stick with that a little bit. I was just making tons and tons of changes like every other day.
Yeah.
Where I look different like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, like that sort of thing. So I think yeah, there's totally a balance. Like, right, if you're a guy with like your elbow, we talked about earlier, but your arm all the way out straight, um, trying to get a little bit more bend in your elbow and then finding like what's the right amount for me. Again, like probably around like me, I like to be around that 90 degrees. Or like how much tilt you have in your stick, that sort of thing. I think also like just kind of attacking like one problem at a time and not trying to make too many changes at once as well. It was is
Mm.
beneficial.
Yeah, that last point you just said is something Coach Drake Porter said at the last goalie summit that I did that I wrote down. It was just 1 point at a time, like one coaching point at a time. He worked with Carden, right? Carden Stoller. And he said, like, I worked with him all year. There's still stuff that I want to like talk with him about, but like it's 1 point at a time. And we only do one thing at a time. Otherwise, you're just gonna overload those goalies. So that's a really good point. Not only for the coaches, but like if you're self coaching, right? Just kind of just tackle one issue at a time, right? Yeah. Um, Awesome. Is there like, and then I think, to your point about that tinkering too, it sounds kind of like a confidence issue as well, right? Because you're going to have those bad days.
Mhm.
You're going to have those bad days. But if I, as a goalie, I have like confidence in my game and myself, I know that. And then I don't need to like, pull the fire alarm when I have like a bad day, right? So is that kind of, would you say now that you have like stronger confidence and you're able to kind of overcome a bad day easier?
Yeah, totally. Um, Kind of just like laughing it off most of the time, or maybe I let in like even shooting around, like I let in goals, like I'm like, wow, that's crazy. Or like in practice, like people say that all the time. I was like, wow, that's crazy. And then I'm on to the next one really.
Yeah.
Um, Even just bad days, it's like, well, that was cool. I don't know. It's sort of just not taking myself too seriously on those bad days, because I know they happen, and I know I've had good days as well, and good days will still come. And so, not taking that too seriously is a big part of it for me.
Love it. Let's talk a little bit about your recruiting
Mhm.
process, if we could. What was the journey like for you?
Yeah, I mean, I got recruited during 2020, so it was pretty. Everything was online
Yeah.
during COVID. So it was just kind of like phone calls and Zoom calls. Couldn't really make any visits. Um, I mean, I ended up committing pretty quick. I don't know, maybe like a little bit of a week between like a week or two. Past September 1st, I committed.
Hmm.
Um,
To Ohio State, right?
oh yeah, I committed to Ohio State as well. I spent my freshman year there.
Yeah. What was it about that school that or that program that, kind of drew you there at first?
Yeah, so I mean, great school, like great athletic programs there, for sure. I really like the Zoom format they kind of put up for me, and talking to the coaches and all that sort of thing was great. Just my freshman year there, just really wasn't the right fit for me.
Uh-huh.
Um, and so, but nothing for love for everything there, everybody there, all that sort of thing. Still got like friends on the team. Yeah.
Cool. What and then you transfer over to where you're at today, which is Hopkins. And what about that program did you like so much?
Yeah, I mean, I love Hopkins. I love being here. Grateful to be here. I mean, one, it's like, I mean, it's you can't. It's obvious like the tradition here, the history of success here. Um, right? You could go on about that for a while. Also, just the importance of lacrosse at the school.
Yeah.
Um, I thought was really cool. Um, and I love the coaches as well, and their mentality with going to lacrosse is, we love lacrosse here. We're gonna have fun, but we're gonna work hard doing it, but also have fun as well. And I love that sort of thing. And just, being in Baltimore, being in Maryland, like the hotbed of lacrosse, it's not no place really like it, I think. And I think it's great being down here, and grateful for it as well. Totally.
Yeah, love it. Talk to me about the goalie room you guys got there. I haven't had all the Hopkins goalies on the podcast, but I've had Luke, I've had Jack and Pat. All have been on the show. Awesome dudes. I don't know the other guys, but yeah, talk to me about that goalie room you guys got.
Yeah, we're super close. They're all my best friends. Um, so I mean, I'm grateful for that. And Luke Stout, was grateful for him this past year. He transferred in, and Pat Moore just graduated. He got turned into a D mid halfway through the last year. Um, so that was pretty funny. Webb got Jack Webb coming again in another year, and then we got PJ Verdi. We just moved into a house together, so he's upstairs right now. He's going to be a junior, and Andrew Cook, who's a sophomore now, is yeah, definitely one of my closest friends. We have a great time together. Just we play, when we're playing lacrosse, we just have as much fun as possible with each other, and it's great. Just the unit in general. Always just cracking jokes, that sort of thing. And we got Dash coming in as a freshman, so excited to get to work with him for the following years.
Awesome. Yeah, it's super important. I think when you can, have that level of camaraderie amongst each other in the goalie room, and it's I'm sure you guys push each other as hard as you can, and but at the same time, you're rooting each other on, and it doesn't matter who's getting those starts. Luke got them at the beginning, but then he got injured as I think, right, and then you kind of took over. So talk to me about that feeling of getting some starts.
Yeah, I mean, it was awesome. It was surreal. Um, Being out there was just again gratitude.
Hmm.
No matter what was happening, it was I'm out here. This is great. It was a lot of fun, and as we just talked about the goalie unit, like they were so supportive of me. You look over, they'd be going crazy on the sidelines. That was super cool to see, and it's just um, again, just kind of like that's what this is the reason why you're working for it, why you're working so hard to play lacrosse is, right? You want to play on that field, and so being able to actually do that and fulfill it this year, it was awesome. It was great, so much
Yeah.
fun.
What what does your guys' goalie training regiment look like? I saw a Goaliesmith put out a reel where you guys train like with Goaliesmith. Is that is that like just in the off season, or what would be like a goalie style training at Hopkins practice?
Yeah, I mean, it depends on the year, the time. Sorry, the time of year.
Yep.
Uh, we do a lot more like coming in the fall soon. We'll do a lot more individual stuff. We'll have time for that. A lot of
Mm-hmm.
just like goalie only practices. Um, a lot of it's right. We get all warmed up, and then Chase Ierlan will take us through some different drills, that sort of thing, and different looks, and just trying to test stuff out. We have certain drills to do. Like I don't know, you can just honestly like it's so open here, and just like kind of discussing about sort of thing. Like, okay, how should I play this? Like, what is good drills for this? It's like the whole unit together with the coach as well. It's like we just kind of like whatever we kind of want to bring to the table and like whatever we want to work on. And then it's this group discussion of how we can get better at that and practice that. And so which is it's great. Um, and during the year too, you're just getting together, getting out there, and seeing certain types of looks for sure.
Yeah. Are there some specific drills that do you think have really advanced your game, or is it more are you are more like a live shots kind of different scenario type of shots kind of guy?
I like them type of shots, but I don't like getting live shots a whole lot. Um, I found like when I was kind of I don't know like in my head a lot, so to say, like it was like the only training I would do is live shots, and like if I didn't have a good day, then it was like it was the end of the world. But like I'll get it sometimes now. But also kind of I mean the drill that Chase brought in was just like back to basics, just like walking your arc,
Mm.
that sort of thing. Um, Making sure you're balanced, making sure you're in positioned. Um, he would do that every when he played at Hopkins. He would do that every single day before he warmed up with a resistance band on and that sort of thing. Another thing he brought in was a short stick. Just I mean getting shots with a short stick, but he has a heavy shaft on it.
Mm.
Um, so I was doing that a lot this year. So it'd be that one, the heavy stick, heavy shaft with a short stick on it.
Hmm.
Um, and I'll get specific shots on that because I would struggle a lot with like watching the ball. It sounds crazy as a goalie, but I had a hard time kind of like watching the ball, and so watching it into my stick, it would help a lot. And then another drill I do is I do that when I'm warming up too, and another drill I do during my warm up is I'm on my knees, and then I'm just like isolating my hands and my eyes, So I'll get some shots high, like not fast, and it's pretty close, just warming up here, but I'll get some shots high while I'm on my knees, and I'll get some shots to my hips as well, and then all over. So just focusing on my efficiency with my hands, so eliminating my pre-shot movement, staying loose, make sure I'm breathing, my arms are loose, they're not tightening up right before the shot, and then as well just that tracking component. So those two for me, I added this spring, and I found those to be super beneficial.
Nice. Yeah, that's a good drill. A lot of goalies want to know like what's a good drill for hand speed and like using that weighted, shaft or putting weights on, taking your shots and doing your reps. Like as soon as you take it off, then all of a sudden like you feel so much faster. Probably are faster. Um, yeah, so you're getting goalie coached by Chase. What a legend. What an awesome resource to have there. Talk to me about, him as a coach and I mean such a tremendous leader as well. I mean, talk to me about working with Chase.
Yeah, he's a man. I
Yeah,
mean, I got to play a year with him for his grad year when he took it at Hopkins. That was my
right.
first year at Hopkins as well. And like when he was a player, part of that goalie unit. So it was close with him and super super awesome. Like when they announced like he was coming back, he was um, super excited. And even when he stepped in as a player for the first time, it was like the way he was able to gather everyone and lead when he had been there for like a couple of weeks. It was super impressive. And now having him, like he's filled with so much knowledge, so much experience.
Mm.
Um, Such a great guy. So he's a huge kind of outlet for us, other goalies on the team, and super understanding of what we're going through because he's been there. He's played in huge games. He's had bad games, good games, all that sorts of thing. Um, so it's great having him and the coaching staff.
That's awesome. And he's coming back next year?
Yeah.
Cool. Cool. Yeah, he's played in the national championship, right? With Cornell. So unbelievable. Yeah, and awesome guy. You mentioned about, like just making sure I don't have that tension
Mm.
built up. And I think that's one of the things that a lot of young goalies struggle with because shots coming at you and it's just like, you get small or you get really tense. How do you relax? How should we tell a young goalie to think about that?
Well, I practice it really. Um, for me, it was like that's something I would struggle with too, even, coming up in college. Like, it's still sometimes you have that tension right before the shot comes. Um, and so it's kind of just like practicing it.
Hmm.
I found it helpful for me. Doing that drill on my knees, like it's super low stakes there, right? I'm not really too worried about getting hit at all. The shot's not coming fast on my knees. They're kind of like almost like passing it to me up high. So starting off slow there, just that practice, low stakes. Um, I don't have to worry about moving my legs at all, as well. So I don't have to worry about like leg pre-shot movement, that sort of thing,
Hmm.
uh, or like worry about getting hit in the legs. And then as well, like if I'm really having bad pre-shot movement, I don't want to do this too often, but sometimes I'll get in. It's like, okay, now they're just shooting it, and I'm just practicing not moving. I'm
Yeah.
not practicing not moving, but like I'm practicing staying loose and breathing and being relaxed. So I'm in the net in my ready stance, and then they'll shoot the ball, but I'm not going to move. Like I'm just going to practice watching it and being loose with that.
Yeah.
Every so often, I found when I did that too much, then I would just kind of wouldn't move.
Lose your edge.
Yeah, yeah,
Like, wait a
yeah.
minute, was I supposed to move with that one?
So dosing that in there,
Yeah.
um, especially early on, I think is important. Um, As well as another thing I would do for pre-shot movement is like a hitch, like how a shooter come, and I don't know whether they're gonna hitch or if they're gonna shoot it. So if they hitch, like I can feel myself tighten up or pre-shot movement, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Because I'm not I don't know whether they're gonna shoot or a hitch or even like you can have them take like a double crow hop as well. So I have to sit in that position for longer.
Mm.
They're either gonna one not shoot it fast or they're gonna double crow hop in from like super super deep. So they're not double crow hopping in and taking a full wind up like 8 yard step down at me. Um, but yeah, so those are some things I do to just help practice relaxing and being patient.
Good drills. Yeah, good drills. Yeah, that drill about just standing in the goal and having someone shoot and not moving. That's what I picked up from Goaliesmith, and that's good. That's good because it's like it really yeah, it trains you to be relaxed, right? Because
Yeah.
I mean, you got to like, if you're flinching or you're tensing up on that shot release, you're gonna have a tough time as a goalie. So you got to sort of train that out of your system.
And doing that too, it's like you see like the actual speed of the shot and what's happening. You're like, oh,
Right.
it's actually as fast as like I perceived it to be.
Right.
You get that tension and you think the huge windup you think is coming fast, and a lot of times you can make it faster like in your head or with that tension. So just kind of sitting there, you can see like, oh, I have plenty of reaction time.
Yeah.
Or you know.
Speaking of Goaliesmith, I know you've worked with them and also trained with them quite a ton. I mean, talk to me about maybe some of the things you've learned from Coach Mike and Andrew.
Yeah, I mean, I'm grateful, I was able to work with them when the first time. I'm from Massachusetts, so the first time they came up to New England, I think it might have been like fall 2018 or something like that.
Mm.
Not sure exactly, but um, yeah, so I mean, started working with them then, or getting coached by them, and I've learned a ton since then. Coaching with them, as well as going to their sessions, their Goaliesmith experience we're having. We're having a college one, this upcoming weekend.
Yeah.
Uh, we're still gonna be learning stuff, but tons of stuff I've learned, like how to play an inside shot. Saying they say is read them and beat them. So being able to read the body language of where they're shooting and beating them to that spot when they're on the crease,
Hmm.
uh, as well as like something I even learned like a year or two ago, just um, how to play the low shots, getting dropping my hips down, getting my back knee down, and just kind of covering up that area of the field or area of the net.
Hmm.
Still learning tons from them, even to this day, for sure.
Yeah, same here. Um, the hands high, feet low thing too was something that they mentioned. I think I saw a video of you explaining that. So you talked about that. Could you talk about that technique?
Yeah, totally. I think that I just posted a video today about it. But yeah, like kind of getting to these low angle scenarios when, the shot's pretty close in, but it's a low angle. So you still have like the same amount of reaction time. They might not be able to get like lateral, like left and right of you because of the low angle, but it's like, okay, they're shooting high or they're shooting 5-0, right? And a lot of times you can kind of get guessy, like especially me as a bigger goalie, I used to get really guessy at it because I was wider, and so it was like, oh, I'm giving up so much 5-0. Okay, they're just gonna shoot 5-0, and I would just go 5-0, and then you get scored up top. So it's kind of like these closer ones, maybe like up the hash or question marks or down the hash, kind of goal line jams. Just this idea where it's like my legs are already down there. They're the fastest thing to like save the ball in that scenario. And so trusting my legs, my feet, my body to make these lower saves, because I know like, okay, if I drop my hands and they shoot it high, like I don't have anything there. If I let's
Yeah.
say my hands are up, I close my eyes and they shoot it and I don't even see the ball come out, like still a chance if they shoot it low, it's gonna hit my legs. Um, so it's kind of, playing that. If I can get my hands down there, if I see the ball come out and I can get my hands down there, that's great. But it's, using your body on these low ones where they're using a lot of deception, or, the reaction time is small because of how close they are, and they're just trying to jam at 5 and maybe my hands can't get there in time. So it's, using your legs on the low ones, and keeping your hands up high.
Yeah. Yeah. Love it. Yeah. Because like you said, sometimes if you misread it and you think it's going low and you put your stick down there like it's a low shot, like you're leaving the top part of the cage like totally open. And so I hired a lot of videographers this past college season, and I said just put the camera on the goalie, right, and just record like everything. And so I've seen like all these goals given up as well, and so many times when the guy's coming around from X and you shoot and he's guessing low and bam, he just nails it high. And so the idea is like, well, keep your stick up there, right, and if you see it going low, like get it with the feet, right, and that way if I misread it, at least I got something still up high to make the save, right? Yeah. Awesome. Cool. Well, have fun at the Goaliesmith experience. So that's this weekend.
Yep.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Where's that at in Baltimore?
Yeah, it's right outside Baltimore.
Right outside Baltimore. Cool. Um, very cool. Talk to me about the mental game. I know you've sort of studied it, and it's kind of one of your I don't know, maybe one of your secret weapons, but when you think about mental toughness, what lessons come to mind, or how do you study that? How do you think about that?
Um, Man, I love the mental game, huge part of why I was able to play this year. But going into that question, mental toughness is like find it to be, just a lot of it's discipline, but not in the way where it's like, okay, yeah, this is really, really hard. I need to like grind really, really hard, and I'm struggling a lot, and kind of get into this like grind mode almost. Sometimes you might have to grind and work hard, and I mean, you're obviously gonna have to work hard, but I found it to be kind of this past year, a lot of it's like trying to make the best of a tough situation, having fun while you're like
Mhm.
in a bad situation, that sort of thing. So kind of I found mental toughness to be like making the best out of maybe a not great situation or something like for me, like if I'm lifting and I don't know, it's my body's hurting a lot. I'm really struggling. Um, Kind of if I get sucked into that, oh my gosh, like I'm so tired, I'm so tired, that sort of thing.
Mhm.
Um, um, there's a component of mental toughness like, oh, I'm so tired, but I'm gonna still keep going. But there's another level I think too, where it's like, wow, like I'm really tired. This is awesome. I love this.
Yeah.
Uh, it's sort of like, whenever I'm doing something that's really hard or, going through something that's really tough, physically, emotionally, mentally, that sort of thing. It's like going back to that gratitude piece you brought up earlier. It's having the discipline to be like, wow, okay, well, this is bad, but like, thank you,
Yeah.
like being thankful for it,
Right.
as well as knowing like something's better coming, something better is coming.
Yeah.
Um, that sort of piece. So for me, like this past year, that mental toughness kind of shifted more towards that for me in my experience.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I think the Navy SEALs call that embracing the suck, right?
Yeah.
Like, when it just, I mean, for them in the training, you're freezing cold water, you're sandy, you're tired, sleep deprived, no food, and it sucks, right? It just sucks. And it's like, all right, let's embrace that suck and that feels a lot better, right? And that helps me out mentally. Um, yeah, what about though, like, when you go through a stretch of bad games, or a bad game, because that sucks too. But how do you sort of mentally recover from that?
Yeah, no, that happened to me this year. Um, had my first start against Navy. Um, Played great. Um, then I think it was Michigan, no, it was Rutgers, and then I played Michigan, and I had Rutgers probably not my best, like not a great game. Michigan, I was okay. Had some nice saves, but that was decent. Um, and I think we played Ohio State after that. And, transferring from there was a huge game for me. Um,
Hmm.
and I got pulled at halftime, not doing great. Um, I get pulled. Like for me in my mind, like this is possibly the worst thing that could happen to me on like a personal level. Like transferred from there, I'm getting pulled at halftime. The teams we still lost. And so there's this after the fact though, it sucked, right? Um, so again, embracing that, but also I came to this realization, I was like, wow, like all my coaches are still here, they support me. My teammates are here. I still have friends. Like I love my friends. They love me. I have my family. I have this other thing going on in my life too, and this and that, and it's like not taking it so serious all the time. Do I wish I balled out that game and we won? Yeah, but um, I just like there's so much more to life a lot of times, and
Yeah.
so um, whenever I was like really struggling with lacrosse and had a really hard time with it, it was like because lacrosse was all that mattered in my life. And I framed it that way. So it was like if I played good or played bad, like my self like worth was defined by that.
Mm.
Um,
Yeah.
so now like especially during after that game, it's like I wasn't necessarily in like feeling that way either, like when I was playing. But especially after that game where it's like, okay, this is possibly like the worst thing that could happen to me, in my mind. Um, it was like, yeah, I still have all these great things in my life. It was kind of almost like a weight lifted off my shoulder.
Right.
Um, and allow me to just kind of play more free. because it was like I'm playing a game that I just want to have fun in. I love playing this game. Like um, the experience of being in the game is what I'm really looking for and what I really like want to be doing. Um, is where I get the love to play the sport. Um, right, making tons of saves is great, um, and winning a bunch is a lot of fun. But it's like the process of getting those saves and the process of getting to those wins is what
Yeah.
makes it so amazing. Um, if I like blacked out during a game, I don't remember anything, and it was just like, oh, you had 30 saves and you won the national championship, but it's like I don't feel like I actually did anything. I don't feel like I was actually like did that. Then like it wouldn't be as meaningful as me, playing the whole game and then having 30 saves and winning the national championship, that sort of thing. If that
Yeah.
makes sense.
That was powerful. Yeah, that was good stuff. I know exactly what you mean. And a lot of times too, the slumps, like, well, first of all, having a bad game doesn't make you like a bad goalie, and it certainly doesn't make you like a bad person or friend or teammate or any or son, right, or daughter or any of that, right? So like, a lot of times people do think that, and then it just adds this additional weight, like you said. Now game number two, like you feel that, and now you're just not playing as well. So yeah, it's a great
Mhm.
mindset to have with that. So awesome. Cool. Anything else on the mental game, or is that was pretty good? I'm not saying you need to come up with more.
I mean, I could talk about the mental game, for a very long time.
Yeah. Do you guys work with a sports psychologist there?
We do have one, Brock, who played at Hopkins a few years ago. He was a starting goalie, a few goalies ago for Hopkins.
Oh, nice.
He helps with the team and that sort of thing, and great resource for us goalies for sure.
Okay.
Um, and sort of like talking about the mental game, like that was kind of like the huge turning point for me. Like in the fall, like I was like like fourth string goalie. Um, and so I kind of just, and then somehow like, ended up becoming a starter. Um, and so it wasn't like me like grinding out like physically, like getting shots 24/7, that sort of thing. I still like did extra work, that sort of thing, but I worked on my mental game a whole lot. That's where I spent a lot of my kind of efforts, and I started playing way better because of it.
Mm.
Um, I went from that fourth string, into the starter, just because tons of mental work, and I could go into that like forever.
What? Yeah, well, I'd be curious to know, like, what is it? Some of the meditation and stuff we've talked about, or some other like mental work that you did?
Yeah, so like for me, there was like three big components. One, it was like that meditation, that mindfulness sort of thing.
Yeah.
Uh, practicing being in the present moment,
Mm-hmm.
noticing when thoughts come up and be able to identify them without any judgment. If I'm letting a goal and I'm thinking like, wow, I suck, like the practicing being able to notice that in my head and just be like, okay, that's interesting. That's just a thought. Like that's not actually like what I think about myself. That's not actually how I feel about myself, how I identify, and just kind of noticing that, brushing that off, and like being back in the
Yeah.
present. So that meditation piece, is important for that part of it, um, as well as just improving my self-talk. Um,
Yeah.
Huge part for me. So that's like a second kind of pillar, for my mental game is improving my self-talk. Like during the games, during when I'm in a practice, like I'm constantly just talking to myself. Um, and it's a lot of just positive things or things I want to like identify with. Um, like maybe I'll be like just repeating, I have unbreakable confidence. And so it's like, or um, when I played at Maryland this year, like I was just kept repeating, my internal is stronger than anything external. So like no matter like what's gonna be thrown at me, like all the noise from the crowd, when there's like 11,000 people there, there's tons of noise, tons of chirps being thrown at me. It's just like, okay, that's all external, but like what's in like internal is gonna be stronger than any of that. Like I'll be able to withstand anything, ride any storm. Um, or maybe it's more about my physical, like my hands are super quick, my feet are quick. Like I'm efficient, I'm patient. So lots of positive things, but also focusing on the task at hand is helpful as well. it's like, okay, I'm going to be loud. I'm going to talk through this and that. Um, when the shot's coming, I'm going to be patient. I'm going to wait for the release. I'm going to breathe. I'm going to be loose. I'm going to step efficiently toward the ball, make a clean save, catch it, and then look for my outlets. Like just talking through that sort of thing, um, either positive to kind of like, get me juiced up, feeling confident, but also focusing on the task at hand and what I have to do is beneficial at all, and just avoiding negative self-talk for me at all costs. And not get sometimes it still comes up, right?
Yeah.
But again, with that practice of meditation is noticing that, not having judgment towards it, and just kind of letting it go. And then the third one for me, is visualization. That's huge for me. Um, I'll different parts too is like maybe it's the morning I'm in the hotel before the game, and I'm visualizing like maybe different saves that come up in my brain, or um, I'm going to bed like during the week, and it's like, okay, now I'm visualizing like, when I wasn't even the starter yet, it was like I'm visualizing myself being the starter, that sort of thing. Winning the game, winning the national championship. Um, and sort of like I would go out on the field too at night. I started doing this like a few weeks before became a starter. I would have all my stuff on. I'd go down the field and I was just like acting as if I was a starter.
Mm.
Um, I would go line up. I mean, I'm out on the field by myself. It sounds ridiculous, but like maybe the lights would be on. It was dark. I'd be going at night usually. I'd go line up on the field like I'm the starter, like the start of the game. Okay, I'm picturing, okay, what stadium I am. Who are we playing this week? Um, what's the field look like? What do the stands look like? Like I look up the stadium, like what the stadium looked like before if I hadn't played there before,
Yeah.
to visualize that out. And then it's like, okay, now I'm gonna go fist bump the other goalie. We're doing a handshake before the game, fist bump the other goalie, and I run back into the net. Okay, face off comes down. I'm in my net now. Okay, the game's starting. Face off comes down, shot, save, visualizing saves, being in the moment as well. Um, and then also like I'll visualize some goals too. Maybe there's a few goals in a row.
Yeah.
Now, how do I respond? That's a huge piece for it. Okay, I've just let in four goals in a row in my mind. Um, in the moment, okay, how do I respond to that? Am I gonna crumble? It's like, okay, like I'll go make some more saves, and then now I'm visualizing a bunch of saves in a row. Um, the mind doesn't know the difference between what's visualized and what actually happens.
Right.
Um, and so if I visualize a bunch of goal saves, it's like, okay, I have the confidence to make saves. But if I also visualize a bunch of goals and then a bunch of saves, now when I, step into a game and I let a bunch of goals in a row, I've been here before in my
Yeah.
mind. I know like saves are still coming. I'm in a good spot. I'm not going to crumble. I'm not going to fall apart, just because I got scored on, that sort of thing. Um, yeah. So those three things for me, with the self-talk, the meditation, and the visualization that have been huge, in my progress this year.
Love it, man. Love it. Well, thank you for sharing all that. That was amazing. And I can tell you've putting a lot of work into it, and it shows. And those are all amazing things that I think all goalies should incorporate into their routine. Because, like you said, like you went from fourth string to the starter, and a lot of it is probably because of that, all that mental work. So, um, awesome. Couple more questions I got for you, just random questions. There's got to be a story behind these sweatpants that you've been playing with, huh?
The ripped ones?
Yeah, the ripped ones. I got a huge hole in there, and
Yeah.
I feel like they've seen some. They could tell some stories, huh?
hmm we got the ones that I wear. We got them at the beginning of the year.
Yeah.
Uh, and so I want to wear the baggy sweats. I'm also a pretty big guy. So like, I was wearing 3XLs. Um, and so that was the only pair of 3XLs we had. And they shrunk a little bit in the wash, the wash too, and dryer and that sort of thing. So those are my preferred sweats, and I got some holes in them. And so like I got other pairs too. There were 2Xs though, so a little bit smaller. Again, I prefer those 3Xs. And then so during practice, I would just wear the 2XLs. Again, like they probably shrink in the wash and stuff. But I slide around my knees so much. Um, like again, holes are coming in. So I get another pair of 2Xs, and then I was just kind of running through 2XLs and then holding on to that pair of 3XLs for the games, while I could.
Nice. I love it. Are you going to continue to wear them this year, or do we got a new pair of
Get a
three
new pair.
XLs coming in?
We got a new pair
We got a
coming.
new pair. All right, all right. But still, probably after a couple games, we'll have that knee hole. We'll
Yeah.
see. We'll see. What
Yeah.
about your stick setup? What do you go with?
We're at STX school. So I mean, I got Eclipse 3, and then I got a STX fiber for the shaft.
Nice. Do you string up your wands, or does someone else do it?
No, I sent them out to Mr. Wonderful.
Oh yeah.
So
Shout out, Mr. Wonderful. He strung a bunch of these guys up on my wall here. He's
he's
awesome.
been getting me right for the past few years since like high school, and um, maybe if I can't get one out in time, one of the goalies, Andrew Cook, can string it up pretty well. So
Okay.
um, get him doing some
Got
too.
backup plans. Do you use
Emergency wear, that
do
sort
you
of
use
thing.
you know what I just got right here is the Cell Sixes, the goalie gloves. Do you use those or do you use the other XTX ones?
I think we use the cell. I don't really know. I
Here,
use whatever.
let me grab it real quick.
I use whatever they hand me. And I think it's the cell. I think so.
You use
Yeah.
whatever they give you. These are the Cell Sixes. It's got kind of like a thumb that looks like that.
Yeah, we don't have those yet.
You don't have those ones. Okay. All right. Well, then I won't talk to you about these, but these are pretty cool.
Look cool.
They're pretty cool. What I like about them is like, you know how a lot of the thumb caps kind of stop like right at the thumb, This one like goes until like kind of like your mid thumb,
That's
kind of like
cool.
right there. So it kind of like wraps around a little bit. And some of the goalies said that like, that you kind of lose a little bit of touch on the, right here because this is a huge pad, but it's very protective. So I don't know if you ever had a thumb injury.
Yeah, I broke my thumb last year. It was my bottom hand too, which is weird, but
Yeah, that is weird. Yeah. But hey, our thumbs are in the line of fire. Um, I don't know if you ever knew Josh Kearson, Hopkins goalie that graduated like maybe 2 or 3 years before you. He
he
broke
was
both thumbs several times. So he finally like gave up and started putting his thumb like behind the plastic
yeah.
to like, so he can not break it. But anyway. I wanted to ask, there was in looking at the Hopkins team picture that's on your website, there's a little dude there in a wheelchair. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Hmm.
No, who is
Yeah,
that?
yeah.
Oh, yeah, I was just
So,
curious.
yeah, so that's Kyle.
Kyle.
He's a big fan of the program, and I forget, he's like a part of the team to us.
Yeah,
Uh, and so he's always at the games. Super cool always seeing him there, and getting the practices when he can, that sort of thing. But yeah, he's the man.
awesome, awesome, cool. Well, Oren, thank you so much for coming on the show. That was tons of fun. Good luck in the upcoming season and this weekend at the Goaliesmith experience. If you had to leave the goalies out there with a final piece of advice, what would that be?
Just have a ton of fun. That's it. That's it. It's that simple. It's a game. So just play the game.
There we go. Oren, thank you so much.
Of course.